All right, today we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at how to create an assessment in NextGen Math. When you log in to NextGen Math through Clever, so you would go to your Clever account. Let me back up and go to my Clever account here. You're going to start from Clever and you're going to log into NextGen Math. This is the landing page. Now you have a couple of different options here, but the one that I'm going to work on right now is the standards practice one. If you simply click on this tile, it is going to give you this page. Now automatically it's put me on 8th grade because I think that's where I last was, but depending on your grade level, let's say 3rd grade here. There's my train in the background. Sorry guys. You're going to see the standards that are relevant to your grade level. And you can see that NextGen Math goes as far back as kindergarten, which is really great for the elementary school because, or any school actually, because you can assign standards for intervention by assigning a lower grade level standard, or let's say you're in 3rd grade and you have a student that's performing a little higher, you can assign assessments up with 5th grade standards. So it doesn't matter what grade level you are, it doesn't matter which grade standards you choose, it all depends on what it is that you're trying to do with this assessment. So if you are going this route, then here is how you would create an assessment from here. If you hover over, first of all, right up at the top here, you have this little color-coded key that tells you which are the major standards, which are the supporting standards, and which are the mathematical practices. So I'm going to go with the gold colored standard strands. If you hover over, it tells you the type of problem that the student is going to see. It tells you the claim, it tells you the target, and it tells you right at the bottom the standard written out, right? So standard RP decimal 1, and at the bottom you'll see that it says understand ratio concepts and use ratio reasoning to solve problems, right? And it gives you a image of the possible problem. So if you're going to assign an assessment, you simply are going to click and drag that over here and let it go. There are 2 things that you can do from here on, actually 3. You can grab a different problem and drop it, or you can simply, I'm going to delete that, you can simply hover over these little icons and it says here add more from this stem, or add all the stems from this standard. So I'm just going to click add all the stems from this problem, right? So from this standard, you'll see that there are only 2. I can go back and say, well, I want to give 5 questions. So I'm going to give 6 questions. I'm going to give 3 for that, and I'm going to give 3 for that. You can also drag these. I want to put all my parenthesis 1 together, all my parentheses 2 together, or I want to mix them up. So you can move this through here. Now, if you want to see what problem this is, you can hover over the image, click to preview, and it's going to show you a sample of the type of problem that is under that strand. All right, so now we want to add a title and we want to add a label. And why do we add titles and labels? Well, we add titles, number 1, so we can find it later. And number 2, we add a label because we want to be able to sort based on whatever the label is. You can create different labels. These are just the labels that I have in there as a result of what I was using in the past. I'm going to call this a quick check. And let me double check what standard this is, because that's what I'm going to label it. So this is understand ratio concepts. So I'm just going to give it a quick title, understand ratio concepts. I could be more specific by putting the standard number in there, but I'm not for the sake of this demonstration. Now, there are two ways that you can administer this. One of them is through a printable, where you just click on here and you can see that now the printable is the one that's grayed out. View, and it gives you a printable formatted document that you would print out and give to your students. Why would you do this? Perhaps you have a student that needs a printed document to work it out, paper, pencil, and then they can go into the system and answer the questions. Perhaps you want to assign it for homework. Perhaps you want the students to do a small group hands-on activity where you take out manipulatives and they're doing this as a group. There's a variety of different reasons why you might want a printable. If I go back, I can then pick online, again, view, and now I can see what the assessment is going to look like. I can go through all of these and just look at the different questions that the students are going to do. Now, there are two ways that you could use this, probably more. You could use this as a whole group direct instruction where you are going through the questions with the students yourself, as a whole class, as a warm-up, as a pre-teaching, or as a pre-formative assessment activity. You could do it with a small group where you guys are working through these problems together. How would the students respond? Well, to hold them accountable, you might use small whiteboards where you're working through the problem and the students then get a moment of time to write down their answers on the whiteboard, and on a count of 3, everybody shows you their answer. You could work through the problem together and then have the students turn and talk and go into their own platform and answer the problem that they came up with. Or you could do it where they're doing it individually, independently. From here, you would then assign. And here you have options as to how you want to assign this assessment. Here we have the title that we chose originally. You can change it at this point if you like. We have, excuse me, the label that we've assigned. You can change it if you like. Dynamic questions means each student is going to receive a different question, right? So students receive different questions from the same stems in the same order. Shuffle order means students receive different questions from the same stems in shuffled order. If you turn off dynamic, then it's just going to be they receive the same question but in a shuffled order. So if you want to assess, if you want to, I guess, compare apples to apples, you could just use the shuffle order so that they all get the same question. They just don't see it in the same order, because if they're sitting right next to each other and, you know, Suzette sees that Sharon chose A for number 1 and Sharon always gets A's, then I'm going to pick A2 because I want to get a good grade. So that's what this would prevent, right? Same question, different order. When you want to assign it, If there's a due date, so by the end of today you want them to finish it, you could say that they have till the end of the week to finish this. This is when do you want them to have access to it, and all of these additional options. So do I want instructional videos on or off, right? If this is a formative assessment, maybe you want the videos off. If you want this to be practice and or instructional, maybe you turn the instructional videos on. Over here is where you're going to see your information for your individual students. You would choose whatever you want here, and then you would create the assignment. So if I pick the prep, and then I'm going to pick third grade, you can see that my create assignment button has become active, right? So I'm not going to assign this and freak everybody out over at the prep, but that's just an example of how you would do that. Once you assign this, you will then see it. So I'm going to cancel out of that. You would then see it in your assignments bank. So here you see the one that I just created in my assignment bank. This is one that I created earlier just to practice. And over here you will see the data for that specific assignment. So that is how you would use NextGen Math standards practice to assign practice on a particular standard. I will create videos on how to use the other tiles as well and put those in the same location. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much.